Hey guys, the Franchise Goat here. Welcome back to episode number 6 of the Baltimore Orioles franchise. Today's episode, we are doing two things. We're going to be first playing this game against the Chicago Cubs, and then we're going to jump into the first year player draft. In the game today, June 2nd, we are at Chicago. We're facing Yu Darvish, who's been one of the best pitchers in the National League, both in the game and in real life. We're going to counter with John Means, who is our ace of the future. At least I think he is. Not off to the greatest start so far, but a guy who will look to see how he can do. Quick look at the lineups here. We're starting DJ Stewart in left field instead of Ryan Mountcastle against the right-handed pitcher Darvish. Besides that, our lineup looks pretty similar. The Cubs have quite a bit of talent, though their record is not too much better than ours, as we look to get back to within 5 games of 500. Jumping right in, you can see it is a night game here at Wrigley Field. Afternoon will quickly turn to night here. Cubs 3 games above 500. We are 6 games under 500 as we approach the draft here in early June. As you can see, Yu Darvish is 4-1 with a 3.48 ERA. 91 strikeouts in 64 innings is definitely something we have to worry about with Darvish. He is a great pitcher. And as you'll see, he makes quite quick work of us here in the first. Austin Hayes is going to pop out to the first baseman Anthony Rizzo as we go 1-2-3 in the top of the first, and Darvish is off to a solid start. John Means going to take the mound for us. He's 1-4 with a 4.55 ERA. 22 walks in 59 innings is not great. That's something we'll look to improve upon with him. Hoping to see some of his potential. He pitched okay on opening day. Jumping in here in the first, he is going to pitch a scoreless first. He gets Ian Happ to strike out on a slider down and in. He works around a hit, and both pitchers have a scoreless first. Jumping into the second, Anthony Santander, who has been our best hitter, now in the cleanup spot, he's going to rip a double down the right field line to get our offense going for the day. And as you'll see, our offense was going hard today. Santander starts it off with the double. Renato Nunez is going to follow up with a double of his own in the right center field gap. Santander would score, and just like that, the Orioles would take a 1-0 lead in this one. Back-to-back doubles by Santander and Nunez. Good to see Nunez hitting a little bit as he has been struggling around the 200 mark. Rio Ruiz is up next, and he is going to absolutely crush a hanging slider. And just like that, within 3 batters here in the second inning, we take a 3-0 lead off of Darvish and the Cubs. Rio Ruiz got a hanging slider there, and he absolutely did not miss it. So a good start to this second inning for the Orioles, but this would be not nearly what our offense would end up doing in this ball game. Jumping ahead here to the bottom of the second, John Means is going to strike out Wilson Contreras on a slider down as he continues his excellent start to this ball game. And he was pretty solid. Jumping into the third here, Hanser Alberto is going to launch a pitch off of Yu Darvish, an absolute frozen rope into left field, and it's going to leave. Hanser Alberto, not exactly known for his power, is going to launch a home run off Darvish, our second home run of the ball game in just the third inning. And we would take a 4-0 lead here in the third inning. So giving John Means plenty of runs to play with against this high-powered Chicago Cubs offense. Jumping into the top of the third here is Anthony Santander is going to rip the gap yet again. Excellent piece of hitting there. We know he's great at going to the opposite field. We've seen it a number of times in previous videos. Santander gets another double there. And as you can see, that's going to be it for Yu Darvish as we chase him here in the third inning. Cubs manager David Ross, though that looks nothing like David Ross, is going to pull Yu Darvish here in the third, and we successfully get into the Cubs bullpen. Tyler Chatwood would be the pitcher who would come on for the Cubs, rocking some pretty good statistics. That 3.35 ERA in 29 games, 53 and 2/3 innings, is very good. So we might have our hands full here with Chatwood. However, Darvish was unable to hold us down. Chatwood would get out of the inning, though. Jumping ahead to the bottom of the third, John Means is going to get yet another strikeout as he gets Anthony Rizzo there. Jumping to the fourth, John Means finally in a little bit of trouble as he gives up back-to-back singles to start the fourth. This one here by Ian Happ. And with nobody out, the bases are loaded. He's going to strike out Kyle Schwarber. So there's step number one in trying to get out of this bases loaded, nobody out jam. Then following a pop out, he has Steven Souza Jr. is going to get him to ground out to the shortstop Iglesias. So John Means does an excellent job working out of trouble there. He gives up no runs despite bases loaded, nobody out. And we keep our 4-0 lead headed to the fifth. Here in the fifth, Means in a little trouble again, but yet again he's going to strike out Anthony Rizzo on a fastball up and in. Yet another strikeout for Means as he's really racking up the strikeout totals in this game. And as you'll see, he's going to get yet another one against Chris Bryant, looking up and in. 5 scoreless innings for John Means, and we lead 4-0 going to the sixth. In the sixth is where our offense really started to explode. Rio Ruiz is going to rip a ground ball into right field. That's going to be a single. Going to third is Anthony Santander after yet another hit. And Ruiz gets our offense rolling here. Now with the bases loaded and nobody out, Ryan Tepera is actually going to walk DJ Stewart. So Stewart gets an RBI the easy way as he drives in Santander with his walk. John Means now steps up to the plate, and yes, in the American League, pitchers can hit a little bit. John Means rips a single into left field, and just like that, we keep the bases loaded, now up 6-0 as truly everyone in our lineup was hitting today. Jose Iglesias is going to get a little luck here, as not a great swing, but that ball is going to find grass in center field. 2 more runs are going to come home, and the Baltimore Orioles have officially broken this game wide open as we lead 8-0. Ryan Tepera struggling to even get an out here against our lineup. Kyle Ryan would not fare that much better as Hanser Alberto rips the ball down the left field line. Another extra base hit for him. He's going to have himself an RBI double. And we lead it 9-0 in the sixth. Our offense just would not stop in this sixth inning. Moving right along, Austin Hayes swings at a pitch way out of the strike zone. And I actually thought for a second that this ball might leave. It did not. It died on the warning track. But it's going to be a sacrifice fly. Both runners will move up. And we have put an even 10 on the Chicago Cubs. But we were not just done in the sixth. As stepping up now, Anthony Santander, who got this rally started, is going to finish it. A 2-run home run blasted into the left center field bleachers. And we have made it a dozen. A 12-0 lead here in the sixth inning, as we have just eaten alive the Chicago Cubs pitching staff and really made it very easy on John Means. Absolutely blasted, fastball up in the zone, and Santander did not miss it. Jumping into the sixth, the first blemish for John Means, as he's going to give up a 2-run bomb to Kyle Schwarber with 1 out here in the sixth. The first 2 runs for the Cubs as they try to maybe mount a comeback. Means had been in and out of trouble a little bit the whole game. He had done a good job of working out of it, but just kind of left a fastball in that wheelhouse down and in for Schwarber, and he didn't miss it. Jumping ahead to the seventh, we're going to pinch hit Chris Davis, which would be the end of the night for Means. He goes 6 innings, giving up just the 2 runs, so a very solid start. And Chris Davis is going to do some damage off the bench as he lines a ball that just stays fair down the left field line. In front of him, DJ Stewart is going to score all the way from first base as Chris Davis has himself an RBI double, and we lead 13-2 as we get one of those runs right back through Chris Davis off the bench. Jumping ahead to the seventh, Jorge Lopez, who has been excellent out of the bullpen for us this year. He's our long reliever. We're going to bring him in to eat up a couple of these innings here. And as you'll see, he's going to do just that in the seventh. Gets a strikeout of Chris Bryant to end the seventh inning. Lopez gives us a scoreless frame there. Jumping right ahead to the eighth inning, we are actually going to keep Lopez in. He got in a little bit of trouble here, but he's going to get a ground out from David Bodie. Excellent play by our second baseman, Alberto, there, as Jorge Lopez works through 2 scoreless innings, lowering his ERA even more. Jumping into the ninth, we bring in Danny Barnes, who has struggled a little bit this year, but we're going to try and get him through this ninth inning to get us the final outs. And it would not be without a little bit of adversity as Javier Baez. We couldn't keep him quiet all night as he launches a home run into the left center field bleachers. Wouldn't end up meaning much as all it does is cut our lead from 11 to 10. But Barnes just left a fastball with a little too much plate there, and Baez didn't miss it. But that would be all the Cubs would get as their comeback falls very short. Ian Happ takes strike three at the bottom of the strike zone, and the Baltimore Orioles come away with a 13-3 victory. Excellent job by John Means. 2 runs in 6 innings is always going to get the job done, and our offense exploded behind him. Anthony Santander, player of the game, 3 extra base hits, a home run, and 2 doubles as he went 3 for 5. Hanser Alberto also 3 for 5 with a home run. Rio Ruiz added a home run as well as our offense really did a number on Yu Darvish and the Cubs bullpen. Jumping right in to the first year player draft here, we have the second overall pick. And one guy I was looking at here was Joey Alderson. He is international out of Canada. Guy who looks like he'd be really good now and super high potential. Really high contact and a very good fielder. Now, I know we don't really need infield as much as we need pitching prospects. The problem was that there wasn't any great pitching prospect up at the top of this class that I really loved. Unfortunately, Steve Padilla, he looked all right. High velocity guy, but I actually like guys who have a little bit higher control rating. And I couldn't really find a starting pitcher up there. So we actually are going to end up going with Joey Alderson with the second overall pick. Looks like a really, really good player. So we are going to jump ahead and take him. Jumping up to the second round where we knew we absolutely needed to address pitching. And there were a bunch of guys available for us to do so. Trying to debate between a guy with a higher floor or a guy with a higher ceiling. As you see, Andy Fisher, definitely a guy with a higher floor, though he is a guy who is definitely going to be a project. Really high potential for velocity and break, though, which I like a lot. So maybe a guy we would take. He's definitely got high potential, but would take quite a while to develop. With that in mind, we're going to take him with the second overall pick. We need starting pitching prospects, so he was a good pick to make there. We actually have a compensation pick, competitive balance here in the third round. And I was looking at maybe addressing another pitching spot, actually. I actually looked at relievers, but there wasn't really much left here at the start of the third round. So I was going to look for maybe another starting pitcher. And I really like the look of Ramon Casilla. He's an international guy. Looked like he would be decent at the moment and had really high potential. If you look at his control, velocity, break, they were all up at the 80s for potential. So a guy I definitely like the look of. We snagged him there. And then we have another pick right away at the top of the third. Wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with this pick. There were a lot of options. I was just looking for guys who maybe could make an impact pretty quickly. I wanted to take a couple guys like that. And I was looking to maybe take one more project guy. But really looking for someone who could impact the team pretty quickly and had a high floor. So maybe not as much of a risk, but a guy who we knew would be pretty solid. Fernando Barrios, he might take a little bit of time to develop, but he already is super fast. Probably would be a good defender in center field. So we're going to take him in the third round. Looked like a really solid player. In the fourth round here is where we get one of my favorite draft picks, you'll see. John Bundy, funnily enough, the last name of former Orioles first-round pick, Dylan Bundy. He looked like just a really good overall player, guy who had a high floor, looked really, really solid, and so we're going to go ahead and take him in the fourth. 2 picks left as we jump into the fifth round, and here I was really looking for someone who was a solid overall now, and I came across Damian Poles, who looked really good. All of his hitting stats and fielding stats looked like they were really good now, and even had the potential to get a little bit better. Not the fastest guy ever, but serviceable speed. So we go ahead and take Damian Poles in the fifth round. which turned out to be one of our better picks. And then in the last selection in the 6th round, just looking for a guy who looked pretty good right now. And Alfonso Santiago fit that bill. Another fast outfielder, looked like he could be a really good defensive outfielder, and had a little bit of pop in his bat, which I like to see. And so that would be our last pick of the first year player draft. We're going to jump ahead and take a look at the players we picked and see what their potential ratings are. And as you can see, we would end up doing quite well in this draft. Joey Alderson is an A potential. He has 92 potential, which is very good. He's already a 73 overall at 20 years old. He could be very good. Already a good contact hitter. High fielding. Speed isn't bad. Doesn't have much power, but that's something that could develop over time. Probably never going to be a power hitter, though. Looks like a contact and defense type of guy. Andy Fisher, 89 potential, looked very good. Just 21 years old. He's going to take a little while to develop, but he looks like a really good prospect. Could get up into the high 80s, maybe even the 90s if he develops well. So a really good pick there. Ramon Casilla, another guy who looks like a solid pick. He's got a B potential, so definitely can get into the low to mid 80s. Only 21 years old. His overall is not super high, but looks like he could be a decent player down the line. Fernando Barrios actually ended up having a higher potential than I thought he would. He's a B potential guy, really high speed already. Everything else is pretty below average, but he's a guy who we will stick in the minors and let develop. John Bundy ended up being not the greatest pick ever, but solid depth there. He's a guy who fields all right, decent speed, but he's someone who definitely could develop. Damian Poles probably ended up being our best pick given that he was a 5th rounder. He's a guy who already does a lot well with the bat. Very good hitter against lefties. Already a solid fielder. Maybe doesn't have the best arm, but probably doesn't need it at first base. Solid speed. He's a guy who could be ready to go next year in a role with our team. And then Alfonso Santiago, C potential guy, but he's already very good. Probably not going to get much better than what you see right here. High speed, high fielding. You never know with a guy like that. So we're going to go ahead and sign all of our draft picks. I sign any draft pick that I make that has C potential or higher. So overall, very good draft. I think we probably couldn't have done much better, so solid and happy with that. We are actually making a quick lineup change here. We're going to move Renato Nunez down to the 7 spot. We're moving Chance Cisco up into the 5 hole. That's just based on performance, and we'll see how that goes. Making a couple changes to the roster. We're moving Cole Stewart down to AAA. He was a guy who had just been struggling. The whole season hadn't gotten it going. ERA was approaching 7. And we're going to call up AJ Puck, guy I'm really excited about. We traded for him. He was part of that Wade LeBlanc deal. And so Cole Stewart will slot into the AAA rotation, and we'll see how he does. Maybe he can work on his game and get back up to the major league level. But for now, I'm really excited to see what AJ Puck gives us up at the big leagues. Definitely a guy who I'm excited about. Definitely part of the future of this team. So that's really important. We're actually going to make another roster change here, though. Andrew Velasquez has been underwhelming. He's hitting 139. So we're going to send him down to AAA and let him get a little time to work on his swing. And we're going to call up Stevie Wilkerson. He's been up with the Orioles a little bit in real life, hitting 312 down in AAA. He's a guy who plays multiple positions. Could be a good utility guy. Not a bad fielder. Does everything pretty well. Got a little bit of speed to him. And we're going to actually let Velasquez start down in AAA because I do like him. I think he's a decent player, but he's really got to find his swing. So we are going to let him hit in the 2 hole in AAA where Stevie Wilkerson had been hitting, and we'll see what he can do. So that will just about do it for this episode. I know this was a super long episode because we had the first year player draft. But yeah, in the next episode, we're taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. We're going to see Asher Wojciechowski in what might be his final start as a Baltimore Oriole, as we're looking to trade him right now because of how well he's doing. But yeah, please like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I will see you guys in episode 3. Take care.